hiding his face under my arm, when you wanted to play with him. Always a rogue, Harry." "We must get her away, sir," said nurse. "You know there is much to be done before—" "I understand, nurse," said the father, hastily interrupting her in dread of the distinct words which would tell of the changes of mortality. "Come, love," said he to his wife. "I want you to come with me. I want to speak to you downstairs." "I'm coming," said she, rising. "Perhaps, after all, nurse, he's really tired, and would be glad to sleep. Don't let him get cold, though; he feels rather chilly," continued she, after she had bent down and kissed the pale lips. Her husband put his arm round her waist, and they left the room. Then the three sisters burst into unrestrained wailings. They were startled into the reality of life and death. And yet, in the midst of shrieks and moans, of shivering and chattering of teeth, Sophy's eye caught the calm beauty of the dead, so calm amidst such violence, and she hushed her emotion. "Come," said she to her sisters, "nurse wants us to go, and besides we ought to be with mamma. Papa told the man he was talking to, when I went for him, to wait, and she must not be left." Meanwhile, the superintendent had taken a candle, and was examining the engravings that hung around the dining room. It was so common to him to be acquainted with crime, that he was far from feeling all his interest absorbed in the present case of violence, although he could not help having much anxiety to detect the murderer. He was busy looking at the only oil painting in the room, a youth of 18 or so in a fancy dress, and conjecturing its identity with the young man so mysteriously dead, when the door opened, and Mr. Carson returned. Stern as he had looked before leaving the room, he looked far sterner now. His face was hardened into deep purposed wrath. "I beg your pardon, sir, for leaving you." The superintendent bowed. They sat down and spoke long together. One by one the policemen were called in, and questioned. All through the night there was a bustle and commotion in the house. Nobody thought of going to bed. It seemed strange to Sophy to hear nurse summoned from her mother's side to supper in the middle of the night, and still stranger that she could go. The necessity of eating and drinking seemed out of place in the house of death. When night was passing into morning, the dining room door opened, and two persons' steps were heard along the hall. The superintendent was leaving at last. Mr. Carson stood on the front doorstep, feeling the refreshment of the cooler morning air, and seeing the starlight fade away into dawn. "You will not forget," said he. "I trust to you." The policeman bowed. "Spare no money. The only purpose for which I now value wealth is to have the murderer arrested, and brought to justice. My hope in life now is to see him sentenced to death. Offer any rewards. Name £1,000 in the placards. Come to me at any hour, night or day, if that be required. All I ask of you is, to get the murderer hanged. Next week, if possible. To-day is Friday. Surely, with the clues you already possess, you can muster up evidence sufficient to have him tried next week." "He may easily request an adjournment of his trial, on the ground of the shortness of the notice," said the superintendent. "Oppose it, if possible. I will see that the first lawyers are employed. I shall know no rest while he lives." "Everything shall be done, sir." "You will arrange with the coroner. 10 o'clock, if convenient." The superintendent took leave. Mr. Carson stood on the step, dreading to shut out the light and air, and return into the haunted, gloomy house. "My son, my son!" he said at last. "But you shall be avenged, my poor murdered boy." Ay, to avenge his wrongs the murderer had singled out his victim, and with one fell action had taken away the life that God had given. To avenge his child's death the old man lived on, with the single purpose in his heart of vengeance on the murderer. True, his vengeance was sanctioned by law, but was it the less revenge? "Are ye worshippers of Christ, or of Alecto? Oh, Orestes, you would have made a very tolerable Christian of the 19th century." Chapter 18